Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, a spotlight podcast. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
Every quality community has quality cultural offerings, and Mid-Michigan is no different. Here to discuss the long history and current offerings of the Michigan State Museum and Science Gallery is its director, Devon Akmon. Welcome to the show, Devon.
Hey, good to see you.
So while it's simply called the MSU Museum in a lot of mediums, it's really steeped with science and cultural offerings. So it just for those who know the East Lansing campus, it's very different than the Broad Art Museum. Is that right?
Indeed. We're a lot different in a variety of ways. I mean, first and foremost, the Broad Art Museum is a museum of art, and it's still a relatively new museum here on the Michigan State University campus. Alternatively, the MSU Museum has been in existence since 1857. It's one of the oldest museums in our country. And it serves really at the intersection of the arts, sciences, and culture. So it looks at things more broadly.
Right. So how did the museum get started? I mean, 1857. Yeah. I mean, that's almost hard to wrap my brain around. When was the university founded?
Just a few years prior to that. I mean, it's really quite amazing to think, the foresight at that time, to think there is a need on a college campus to have a museum that is supporting the academic mission of the university. So in a lot of ways, Michigan State University is a pioneer, and this is one of those, thinking about that role, again, of supporting academic research and student success from the get-go. And we continue that mandate today, 160 some odd years later.
Think about it. This is on the cusp of the Civil War.
Yes, quite a while ago.
Unbelievable. So deep history, affiliations, accreditations, nationally recognized organizations. Share a little bit about those. I went on the website, and I was really surprised to read what I found. Talk about what all that history really means.
Yeah, well, a lot of folks don't realize that. I mean, we are, first and foremost, the first affiliate of the Smithsonian Institution in Michigan. And there's only 4 or 5 at this time in the state of Michigan. So what that essentially enables us to do is collaborate with our nation's museum in Washington, D.C. on educational initiatives, exhibitions, community outreach, things of that nature. We're also a member of the International Sites of Conscience Coalition, which means we serve as a platform in bringing community together to think critically about issues impacting society. And more recently, the Science Gallery became a member of the museum, which is part of a global network of universities that are using basically art and science as a platform for addressing the critical issues of our time. And there's only a handful of members of the Science Gallery International Network. So really, we bring all of these robust networks into our work and how we engage both with the campus community and the public at large.
Okay. And there's a deep Native American influence, right? And that has to go back to the land and everything. Kind of talk a little bit about how that got folded in.
Well, for a lot of folks, they know that Michigan State University is what we call often the pioneer land grant institution. And there's an upside and a downside to that. Of course, there was innovative thinking and how we go about our approach to educating the everyday person, right, in society. But also there was also legacy with our relationships with the land and indigenous communities. So that's always been part and parcel to this historical legacy of the university. And for us, we've done a lot of work, whether it's through our archaeological collections or just other work over time and space of engaging with our Native American community. So as we think about being a more just and equitable institution, like so many institutions are and organizations across society, we're thinking about what are those relationships with our indigenous communities in Michigan, and how can we make those more solid and fruitful for the future for both the Native American community and Michigan State Museum.
Okay. And as a resident, I think of museums of all kinds as just a place for me to go and bring the kids or my relatives or whatever. But this museum is built into the academic curriculum of the university. Is that right? So students that are there for certain disciplines are there, whether they're, I don't know if it's a pseudo kind of almost like an internship work program or an academic class or all of the above. Right,
we have teaching in our building. We have biology classes and a variety of classes. We support essentially the curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular education of our students. So that's internships, that's experiential learning, that's the whole gamut of the academic experience. But we're also educating, of course, our public at large. So we really see ourselves as being a platform for bringing communities, both the campus community and the larger community, together to think critically about the things that are impacting society.
So, I'm going to jump right on that. So you've got programs that are very specifically dealing with or addressing and educating and even spitballing solutions to problems. Talk about something that's going on right now.
Well, last year, the big one, we were looking at the myriad ways surveillance impacts our lives, the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? There's beneficial things when you think about the pandemic and tracking, things like that, like how is this this virus evolving? There's the dark side that we're all familiar with. This upcoming year, we're looking critically at climate change and all the ways that impact society. So we don't want to just focus on the negative. It's easy to be grappled with paralysis, like what do I do? But working to inspire and give agency so people can think about creative solutions and also how they navigate the world and basically inform others of how we can make change collectively.
Got it. Okay. And for the audience that is not familiar with the museum, if I were just to go in and buy a ticket, to go wander the halls, what would I expect to see?
Well, you'll see really right now a variety of things. We have this thing called the Science on a Sphere, which is a collaboration with the National Oceanic Administration that enables you to visualize data from around the world. So you could literally track hurricanes in there. And there are other types of immersive kind of experiences in our exhibits. And of course, we have some of the classics that people love, like the dinosaur collections and Habitat Hall that looks at a variety of ecosystems and how animals survive in that. So what I would suggest is we're really at an inflection point, like so many other businesses coming out of a pandemic, and thinking about what does it mean to be a business, in this case, a cultural and scientific business for the future. So we've just completed a new strategic plan, and we'll really be thinking about the experience that we create and how we serve as a critical platform going forward. So there'll be a lot of change forthcoming.
So who helps you make those decisions? Or do you have a board of directors, or is it all academic MSU folks, or how's that work?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the university only has one board. Of course, it's the Board of Trustees, which is elected by the people of Michigan. But we are nested within the provost office, which is the chief kind of division for academic learning. And with that, we are there to support the academic mission of the university. So we do have a new strategic plan that dovetails with the new MSU 2030 strategic plan, and we're there to support student success and the other objectives of the university.
Got it. Okay. And so the pandemic, anywhere, I mean, everything was affected by the pandemic. If you listen to the last 60 of my shows, one standard question is, how did the pandemic affect your organization? And as a ticket-taking congregational place,
yeah, well, we had to shut down for a while, like a lot of other folks. I mean, we have a lot of interactives, and a lot of young people would traditionally come in and touch and, experience things, and we couldn't do that for a long time. So, basically shutting down for a year was really challenging, and then rebooting. We're being really creative in our approach. So we're taking a lot of programs and activities out of the museum and embedding those both around campus and in the larger community. For example, right now we have a cutting edge summer film series taking place at Valley Court Park in downtown East Lansing, because we still know a lot of people are nervous about going to the movies. So how can we bring that content to them and meet them where they are? And that's really going to influence us as we continue to go forward.
And so where is that for those who don't know?
Sure. Valley Court Park, which if folks are familiar with East Lansing, that's right behind Crunchies. It's a large park. And every Thursday night for the next, we're 6 weeks in. We have 2 more weeks. We'll be taking place right after sunset, and it's free. Just come, bring a seat, and
is that where the farmer's market is?
Indeed,
it's the field, right?
Yeah,
okay, got it. Yeah. And so how long is that run? I know we're recording this in middle of July 2020.
So that'll go through the July 21st, I believe, is the last date. So we have 2 more weeks, but we'll probably be back. It's been wildly successful.
This is the first time that you've done that? Okay. And how long? You said 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
It was 8 weeks. We've done 6 weeks now. Yep. But we're already flirting with the idea of how can we do more of this over the next year.
And what kind of, you're not playing Star Wars and, this is educational and thought-provoking.
Well, these are all cutting-edge new, what we might call science documentaries, but they're done very creatively. A lot of these have been to Sundance and other really cutting-edge film festivals and are now picked up by Hulu and other distribution centers. So it's really an opportunity to think about these big issues that are impacting society, but making it really accessible and enjoyable for audiences.
So who do you find in the audience?
It's really, we've seen parents now that school is out bringing, 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds. We've had folks coming who are linked to the university. Really, it runs the gamut. And we've already kind of cultivated a loyal audience that's coming. We're seeing week over week, which is really rewarding.
And do you bring your own chairs or blankets?
Just bring your own chair, a blanket. The City of East Lansing is a partner, so they've been providing the Downtown Development Authority and other units. So they've been bringing snacks and bug spray and providing that for free. So it's really great.
Nice. And so where do you project the movie? Do you have an inflatable screen?
We do.
I see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do. Yep. We just have an outdoor temporary screen that's set up for the night, and immediately after the film, it's taken down.
And what time does that start to bring these little kids? I mean, it gets dark so late around
here. It
does.
Here. It's around 9:20. So
okay.
To be honest, for a lot of adults, it's getting kind of
You're showing your age now. Is this a weekend thing or is this a midweek?
It's just on a Thursday evening. So yes.
Got it. Okay. So how did you get involved? What's your path, and what all do you oversee? You're speaking on behalf of the MSU Museum, but what else is under your domain?
So I've spent almost 20 years now in the museum field. I actually did my undergrad at Michigan State, went to grad school elsewhere, was with the Arab American National Museum in Dearborn during its first 13 years. I was the deputy director, then the second director of the museum. I went into consulting and was hired by MSU right at the start of the pandemic to lead something called Science Gallery Detroit, which was meant to be in Detroit. But of course, as we keep saying, things changed with the pandemic. So that got brought into the museum, essentially a merger, and is now a division for innovation and experimentation within the museum. So it's imagining what museums could be for the future. That all took place a little over a year ago in July of 2021, where I became the director, and now I oversee both of these divisions on behalf of the university.
Okay, so these divisions, I'm sorry, what divisions again?
So the Michigan State University Museum, and then this notion of Science Gallery nested in it as a division for innovation. Yep.
Okay. And you said that Michigan State was working on doing something in Detroit?
Yeah, the Science Gallery project originally was meant to be in Detroit. We had a whole vision for a building and a whole host of other things, but, like a lot of things, just the world got turned upside down, and that was no longer feasible. So,
right.
Yeah.
Why would they do Detroit?
Well, of course, Detroit has a sizable community. It's often underrepresented, particularly in the sciences and STEM field. It's a national issue that we're trying to get more and more underserved communities involved in science. There's a huge need for those fields. So it was just really a great place to bring these kinds of these tools and resources as a land-grant university to the people of Detroit.
Right. And there's a lot of other cultural offerings, obviously, at Michigan State University. So everything that goes on in the Wharton is under a different division than your...
Yes, there's the Wharton, the Broad Art Museum, us, and the Beal. But the really great thing is now we're all under one kind of collection within the Office of the Provost. We all have one associate provost, Judith Stoddard, who now kind of manages this entire collection of cultural units.
Got it. So you're equal but different.
Yes.
All four of those.
We're highly collaborative now.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. And then my wife and I are big fans of the Carillon concert too.
Excellent.
So I think you got a lot of musical offerings too, but you get to sit outside under the Beaumont Tower.
Indeed,
is that right?
Beaumont Tower. I can hear that in my office. Keeps me honest getting to meetings.
Well, good for you. Well, I'll tell you, this is fascinating. Is there anything else you want to share with us about the MSU Museum?
Well, like I said, next year we're going to be exploring the climate crisis. So we'll have this exhibition opening in the fall, 1.5 degrees Celsius. And that was started by basically an open call, inviting people from around the world to submit ideas. So we had almost 200, and 15 will be in the exhibition. We'll have about 15 public programs taking place in the botanical gardens and all around the campus and into East Lansing. But then in the spring, we're partnering with the Smithsonian to bring a brand new exhibition. Will be the first venue in the nation to explore it, called Knowing Nature, Stories of the Boreal Forest. So that too will also look at this impact we're having on our climate, on our globe, and then that will tour. So next year, just a whole host and a lot of ways people can get engaged and learn about the world and the changes and the challenges we're facing.
So if people are really compelled by this, where can they go to learn more?
Well, I would start by going to museum.msu.edu, our website. And then, of course, we're very robust on social media. All our handles can be found on the website. And like us and follow us.
Okay, good. I was going to say, is there a newsletter? Because it'd be nice to have that pushed
we also have
to
a
me.
Newsletter.
Hit me over the head with what's going on so I remember that coolness. Okay, instead of having to go find it. Fantastic. Well, we've been speaking with the director of the Michigan State Museum and Science Gallery, Devon Akmon. Thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you.